Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. It's Jordan here. I'm at the Lego store. I'm at the parking lot of the Lego store. I was working on the zoo for the last 2 days. We were making some pretty good progress there. I've read a lot of feedback in regards to that, and there's been a lot of people saying that I'm building a rectangular city, so I'm going to try and break that rectangle in the future. It's my goal. Break the rectangle. I'm at the Lego store here because there's a lot of open space on my tables, a lot of white space, so I want to try and fill that in. Some people have been concerned that all I'm doing is just growing the things that have been in my existing Lego city. Like I'm making the zoo bigger, I'm making the amusement park bigger, and I'm making the downtown core bigger and all that, and I might run out of space. I honestly don't think I'm going to run out of space anytime in the near future. If I run out of space, my gosh, that's going to be a problem. But I've always said that I want to do everything that I was doing in the old Lego City layout. But I want to do it better, and I want to do it bigger, and I just want to make it more grand, I guess. So that's what I've been doing. Also, we added a boatyard. That used to be in the old Lego City layout, but now we're adding a new boatyard, which is cool. But yeah, I'm at the Lego store. I got to head in there, get some supplies for the Lego City, and then we'll head to the studio, and I don't know, I'm sure we'll get up to no good, that's for sure. So you know where I'm starting? The pick and build wall, because I need parts for the city. And you know what? Look at this. They got the trans blue 1x4 tiles, like the dark blue ones. I've been using those in the deep sea. I ran out, and then I ordered some off Bricklink, and here they are on the pad wall. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. So I'm gonna need to get a few boxes of those, that's for sure. And then over here, they've got the 4x4 green plate. I still haven't used like my entire stock of those from the last time I was here. Like I bought a whole bunch of them. So I still got a whack of that. And then I've used like a ton of these, the 4x6 dark bluish gray plate. Like I've used so many of those, and I recently used a bunch to create the zoo. I did that just to like build like the base layer for the Mills plates. I'm sure the colors of those will probably change, maybe freeing up some more of the dark bluish gray plate that I used, but man, if I need more, there it is. Also, I like these, the dark green tree leaves. I've got enough right now. I've got a lot of trees that aren't in use right now, and I'm not in the stage of adding trees to the city, but I might need to get some of this plate, maybe some of this brick, and for sure, some of these trans dark blue 1x4 tiles. Oh, and they also have the trans dark blue cheese slopes. You can pair those up with those tiles just to make that like glistening water that I have. They have the black plate. And oh, I needed more of the 4x6 blue plate too. I need to keep an eye out for that. I don't need any more of the dark blue, I don't think, but I need some of the regular blue 4x6. And look at that, right below the other thing that I need, base plates. There they are. So I'm gonna get a bunch of those today as well, because I actually pulled a whole bunch of them from the water, like from the ocean, where I had like the base layer of plate laid for the zoo like creek. So I've got to replace those at minimum. You know, it'd be totally cool to add like way more animals to the zoo, but if I add more animals to the zoo, I have to decrease the size of the enclosures, which is truly unfortunate. Like I've got seals and polar bears and all sorts of cool animals, but if I want to add, like the new gorillas and red pandas and all sorts of different animals, then I have to decrease the size of the exhibits. Also, I could make a bunch of room by removing my aquarium from the zoo. Like I could isolate it and have it separate. It would be cool to have like a massive aquarium, and then you could have like all sorts of different aquatic life separate from the zoo, because that's normally how it is in life. But it's funny because I'm building a zoo and I'm building, an aquarium. But to be honest with you, I'm not really the biggest fan of animal captivity. Like, I don't believe in it at all. But I'm building it just because Lego has so many different cool animals and aquatic life species, and I think you can build a really cool aquarium and you can build a really cool zoo, and I want to include it in the city, even though I'm not the biggest fan of animals in captivity. You know what I mean? But there's the red panda. Maybe I should grab one of these just to get one of those red pandas. I'm sure you could order those on Bricks and Pieces though. It does come with a cool minifig though. So it might be worth just getting one of these sets. So I hit the GWP threshold and then I got out of there. I could probably load up 15, 20, 30 boxes. I don't want to sit there all day and load boxes. I load them strategically, so it takes a little bit longer. I need to load up on base plates as well, but when there's such a good pad wall, it's like, oh, what would I rather get, you know? Some base plates or a bunch of pad pieces? So I got pad pieces. There's always stuff on sale at that store. That's the West Edmonton Mall Lego store, and there's always stuff on sale, and they always have a good selection of everything. It's just the way it is. I'm so lucky. Lucky to have access to that store. But now, let's go do some work on the Lego City. So here's the haul. We got 1 box of water tiles, 2 boxes of water tiles, and that's all that's in those 2 boxes there. And then there's this one here, which has the blue plate on the side and underneath as well. You can see there's another stack of them under there. And this one has some more blue plate and some more water tiles. I think one of these is water tiles all the way down. Yeah, that one there. And then this one has 2 stacks of the blue plates. I just love how the boxes are exactly like 8 studs tall. So these just fit so perfectly in there. Oh my gosh, the boxes are just beauty for when it comes to stacking. So that's all I got in regards to the pad wall. And then I got a very exciting single green base plate. Yep, gonna need a lot more than just that. My intention was to go there and just get 11 base plates, because then I would hit $110 Canadian and I would get this GWP for free. But then of course I forgot oh man, they've got a wicked cool pad wall. So I don't think I'm gonna get 11 base plates. I should just get those online and then stock up on pad. They did have like the green and the dark bluish gray plates, and I'm gonna need more of those for like my medieval scene. And I'm gonna need more of those for, of course, the Lego City, and just in general, I'm gonna need more base plates and more parts, but just slowly over time, I'm going to do that. So you'll see a razor blade just chilling right here. Why is that razor blade here? Well, you'll see some holes in the water, which are 4x6 studs. Well, I actually pulled out a bunch of those plates to add the creek to the zoo. Yeah, so I've got to go through and replace all those, and that's why I wanted to get those tiles, or those plates, and I was just so happy to see them on the pad wall. I love this water though. It's really cool to think that this water was built from the pad wall, because it's got the black, dark blue, and regular blue underlaying plate, and then it's got the tiles that we picked up today along with the cheese slopes. So it's literally pad wall water, and it just looks so good. I love that. I got a lot more because I need to do this whole area here. I think I have enough cheese slopes. I'll have to double check, maybe make my way back to the Lego store to get more of those cheese slopes. But I'm thinking I'm probably gonna integrate some of the dark trans blue tiles here as well. I did do like a little test subject down here, but I don't think that the test subject was large enough. And then I'm gonna need more of those trans blue tiles throughout the entire construction of the city. So I don't think getting that many was a huge deal. They go really quick, that's for sure. So yeah, a lot of people have been telling me that my city is more of like a rectangular grid, and I need to try and break up that rectangular grid a bit. And I do agree, you know, I do build things in rectangles just because rectangles are more efficient when it comes to consuming space. If you start putting like angled roads in and stuff like that, it definitely consumes a lot of space, and you can't fit as many modular buildings in such a condensed area. There has been some feedback in regards to roads, saying that, oh, he's just adding too many roads, but I just can't wrap my head around how to get away from roads, specifically in this section of the city. For example, we have houses and residential buildings, and then we have the downtown core. I just don't know how I can do this without roads. I did transition away from roads in regards to the canal. So there is the canal instead of a road I tried to break it up there a little bit, and I did add a little bit of elevation with those modular buildings as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I started adding a little bit of elevation to the zoo as well. But I do realize that my new zoo design has really stuck to the original zoo design with the raised walkways with the glass tunnels underneath. And I sort of turned it into a grid. It sort of looks like a hashtag, I guess. So I'll have to try and break that up. The previous zoo, it did have like the hashtag zoo on this side. And then over here on this side, I had like the black bear enclosure. And it had like a cool angled wall. I don't even know where it went. Somewhere over here. Also had this really cool wall right there for the monkeys. I thought that broke it up nicely. Also the seal wall was pretty cool. It like hinged. And there was like a big one for, I don't know where it went. I can't find it. I've lost it. But there, oh, there it is. There's a big one for the panthers, and there's also a bigger one for the bears that hinged as well and breaks apparently. But yeah, I could try and do some more things like that. But I think if I'm gonna do the raised walkway and tunnels like I did with the previous zoo, it has to be like this. I guess I could technically, you know, have a tunnel angled and try and make some of these enclosures like triangular. That might be pretty cool. It'd be pretty easy to do too, because all you have to do is just hinge it and then put tiles underneath it and change this from one brick to 2 plates, and then it just sits on top of the tiles and it hinges freely, and then you put another connection point over there. So I could definitely try and take this design and give it some angles and stuff. And I do agree that that would be pretty cool, doing some angles. As for the exterior walls, there was a comment saying, maybe what you need to do is make these exterior walls a little more curvy and swervy. But if I start making the exterior walls curvy, like if this wall were to come in here, you remember that this is like going in the city right up against a access hole. So this space that I create this curve with just becomes a waste of space. So that's why I've made a rectangle. But I do think that maybe here I can get away with doing like an angle as well. So if I take, just destroy all this here and then put an angle there, that might look pretty cool. But I think the vegetation does sort of break that up as well. So it's a fine line. There's so many different ways that you can do this and so many great ideas from everybody. And I've just got to learn how to navigate that and just sort of factor in some of those into my own ideas and concepts as well. Now this would be really easy just to put at an angle, and that might help break up the aquarium, or I can just pull the aquarium out altogether, and that would give more room for more animals. Because ultimately it would be really cool to have more animals in here. It would be cool to have, you know, apes and chimpanzees separate from one another, and you know, have a sloth thing on his own, or monkeys on their own, or tigers and lions broke up on their own, giraffes and ostriches and elephants all on their own. And it would be cool to have crocodiles and flamingos on their own and not have these clustered together. But then if I split this in half, now alligators or crocodiles are only getting half of that, and flamingos are only getting half of that. If I split this here and split this here, and I subsection all this stuff, well, now elephants are stuck in this little tiny spot. If I split this here and have panthers here, and then I put a red panda there, then you're limiting these animals to like, you know, 16 studs each. So it becomes very clustered, which in the real world I would absolutely despise. You know, if I went to the zoo and I saw that, I would just snap and be like, this is ridiculous, I'm leaving. So I was trying to give these animals a little bit more space. But if I introduce more varieties of animals, then of course I have to like reduce the amount of space that they get. So it's just a fine line of trying to figure out what to do there. I do like this idea of having the raised walkways and the tunnels. Like the more I look at it, the more I like it. When you have a look at the old zoo, like this was all like full of vegetation and it was green and stuff, and people could look down and it was really cool. So I do like this, but some angles might be cool as well. I just got to figure out how I'm going to go about doing that, because I do have some elevation integrated into this design, and also the creek. This is sort of like an awkward spot right here, but I guess you could stand right here and look down at the rushing water through here and look at the aviary. So I do think that this design is cool. Like the more I look at it, the more excited I get about it, right? But there's so many different ideas that you
could do, and I think it's hard to visualize what this zoo is going to look like until you actually get like the backdrop of the mountains with the trees and the vegetation and actually start to add color to all of these different areas. Like, I just think it's hard to visualize until that actually happens. So like, I don't know if I want to rip it apart and restart or not. Like, I'm sort of talking myself out of it just because I think we're heading in the right direction here, and I think it looks cool. But there are other ways, there are unlimited ways that this can be done. For example, if I were to take this aquarium out of here, I could, make like a staff building where they're actually like, working on animals, or, if there's animals that have been injured or whatever, they're like, it's like a veterinarian building, I guess, and a staff building, and also make like a food building. So there's a whole bunch of different food vendors in there. So there's a lot of different things that I can do, but, you can only do it in one way. It's the thing. So I got to try and just navigate that and try and figure it out as best I can. Okay, now I'm really going on about different ways that I could do this, but just note that I am passionate about it, and I do enjoy it, and I want to have fun with it. And in the same sense, I want to try and accommodate as many different ideas as I possibly can. So I actually decided that I want to keep the glass tunnels with the raised walkways above, because I think that's really cool. I like that from the existing zoo, and I want to keep it here in the new zoo. But I also want to break the rectangular feel that they were giving. So this is what I came up with. Boom. We've got some interesting angles, starting off right over here where I've got the ramp going up to the raised walkway there. I added this here, or modified this here. It used to come straight and then this way, and there's another tunnel entrance there. I decided to put it at this really cool angle, and that actually opened up this whole area in front of the aviary, in front of the water as well. I had to rip apart a bunch of this mill's work to get in there and make these changes. So I had to like rip all this up, create a huge mess, and then I had to work out how these angles were going to work. So I've got a wedge plate right there, and as you can see, this walkway matches up nice with that wedge plate. This walkway continues past here, and then I have a matching wedge plate over here, and it pretty much matches up nicely with that angle. There's not a huge gap there, and once I add some tiling and texturing in there, I think that's going to look pretty nice as well. Now this tunnel and walkway is actually removable. If I remove this tile, I can just pop that out, and it's its own little module, because I removed the brick off the bottom, replaced it with a plate, and then also the DBG plate. So now this is its own entity. I think it's going to be easier for when it comes to moving this around. So that's nice, and you can see all the brickwork that had to go into it there. Also some like tile work. So for example, there's a tile on top of the glass panel and two plates underneath that section, and then there's the shorter pillar there with the tile on top because the studs can't adapt. So this just fits in there nicely, just like that. So just getting the math of that to work nicely was a little bit challenging, but it all worked out in the end. It created a huge mess of mills, of redoing all the mills work and stuff, but eventually it all worked out in the end. So that was good. So then the other two angles are right over here. We actually added one additional tunnel / raised walkway, and then we put these two here at angles. So you can see the wedge plate, it lines up nicely with that raised walkway there. And this one, once again, is removable. Switched up the bricks on the bottom, so it's a plate, one light bluish gray plate, and then the dark bluish gray plate on the bottom, making it one solid module. And then had to do like a jumper there along with the pillar just to seal that gap in there. And eventually I plan on tacking all three of these down with some jumpers or some studs just underneath. It's just going to be fairly easy to do. Just put 3, 4, 5 studs under there and boop, pop it in there. And then I just wanted to make sure that they were removable, because it's going to be easier to move the mills plates when these are actually removable. And of course this one here is removable as well, and that one matches the angle of the other one as well. If you look at it from afar, it looks like a dog. That's a dog. Look, there's a head, there's its back, there's its tail, there's 3 legs. If my dog looked like that, I'd be a little bit scared. It's pretty cool though. I think the broken up angle is a lot better. It allowed me to split up some of the animals too. For example, we can have maybe the giraffe and ostrich over here, and maybe the flamingos and the elephants can share an enclosure there, and then you got the alligators and crocodiles right there. The lions, it's a bit small there, but I mean, it's a little bit of give and take, right? If you add more enclosures in the same amount of space. Obviously, some of the enclosures have to become a little bit smaller. Maybe I could put the monkeys there, but I think the monkeys need a lot of space as well. And then we've got the lonely Black Panther right there. So I think this is gonna work for this side of the zoo. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the aquarium side yet. I could, once again, remove that aquarium, put it somewhere in the city, but I feel like if I do that, I'm gonna have to do it justice. I'm gonna have to make it big. Like I'm gonna have to make a big aquarium with like outdoor fish tanks and stuff like that, or like outdoor like whale tanks and whatever it may be. And I don't know if I want to take up that much space in my Lego city to add a massive aquarium, because I already have a lot of space allocated to the zoo. And that's sort of why I wanted to have it as its own little isolated building within the zoo. But if I find that I want to add more enclosures and I want to add other things like more food vendors and also like a staff building and all that, then the aquarium might have to go. This actually took a lot of time just because of like getting the math of it all right, ripping apart the mills plates, rebuilding like these tunnels, getting the math of it correct, and just cleaning up the gigantic mess that created. And then once it was all done, just pretty much redoing all of the masonry brick and 1x1 gold stud with the tile on top for the railing, just redoing all that as well. So yeah, it just took a little bit of time, longer than you would actually expect. But I feel like that is a pretty good direction for the zoo. Maybe now I can start working on the enclosures. I don't know. Maybe. I feel like this area is pretty cool. Maybe I can start working on the enclosures there. Of course, I'm nowhere near starting the enclosures over here just because I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that aquarium. But I do like this open space here. I feel like we can do some other stuff in here, whether it be like another exhibit or maybe there's some food vendors here right on the water. Of course, I could build out this water a bunch, make it smaller, maybe only 4 studs. And then I can use that additional space to create more seating or vegetation or a garden or more animal enclosures or whatever it may be, right? So I sort of feel like placing it in the city and just sort of seeing what it's going to look like in its position. Maybe we should do that. I don't know. It's a Saturday. It's beautiful out. I'm missing the patio right now, but hey, that was cool. I think that was a real positive change right there. What I meant to say was I'm missing my kids and the patio. There you go. I actually have been spending a lot of time at home as of late, because I'm usually home at about 4. So I hang out with my kids from like 4 until 7, and then I hang out with them in the morning as well from like 7 until 9. So I've been seeing my kids a lot lately, which is awesome, obviously. It's been good. I spend a lot of time outside because my kids, they love being outside. They get like crotchety when they're not outside, so Jose and I spend a lot of time outside with them. They like eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner out there if the weather's good enough. But yeah, I got my aquarium here. Man, I need to change that up. I've got enough white brick and stuff to remove all those panels. This thing for sure needs to be rebuilt, but where's it going to go? I don't know. I started placing all the zoo plates. Pretty easy to place because I have been resting stuff right here where I have all this open space by the train yard. And then I go under there on my little trolley thing, grab it, place it. So I no longer have to like bring these things underneath the table and pop up through the access hole while holding a giant mountain. I can just put it down, slide it, move it. A lot easier than the old layout, that's for sure. In addition to placing the zoo, I decided to loosely place all these base plates here. So I've got this entire section covered, and then this midsection is almost covered, and then it comes to a stop. That's all of my base plates. So there's all this space back here that is yet to be covered, and all that space over there as well. I don't know how there could even be the possible idea of me running out of space at this particular point, at least. I mean, that's got to be a number of years away. It's got to be a number of years away. I don't think that's a situation at all. I mean, I could run out of space for the downtown area because I've decided to put the downtown area over there. So there's not a whole lot of room for expansion in regards to the downtown, especially if the amusement park takes up that back corner over there. There's definitely not a whole lot that I can do there, and I don't really want to allocate any more space to the downtown. But for the fully custom, well, maybe not fully custom, but for the mostly custom countryside, that's going to go here. And also the mountain range. There's like so much space. So much space. It's just a matter of getting the time and also the parts, more importantly than the time here, to start working on this development here. I mean, I don't know when this is going to get going here. I don't know. I've got all those mountain parts from the existing mountains, but I honestly think that even if I combine all of those parts, I could probably only build the mountain range like in this section here, which of course will accommodate like Ninjago City behind the zoo. So I probably have enough parts to do this section here, maybe to like there. If I rip this all apart, condense it, so I probably have enough parts to get this whole front section done, and then I'd have to acquire a bunch of base plates, and I could probably continue working on the back amusement park section as well. And I'll have to have a look at these raised platform coverings as well, because I'll have to start ripping those apart and modifying those, just because like the tunnels and stuff, they're not going to be like in the right position. There might not be two tunnels coming through the single one there, so I'll have to use all those parts and just modify what they are so that they accommodate this new layout. And I knew like eventually all the old stuff, like all the old plates, whether it be the campground or the mountains that we ripped apart, eventually that stuff all had to like be ripped apart and redone for this bigger layout, because once again, that stuff was like, you know, is sculpted for a specific reason, and it's not going to work in this new layout. Well, here we go. This is the zoo placement so far. Just needs color. It looks awfully gray, but all of the plate will be fully tiled off, and all of the plate in the actual habitats will be either covered up with additional plate and tile, which is colorful, or swapped up for colorful plate like vegetation. And then of course there'd be the vegetation sprouting out everywhere. Around the old zoo, I actually had palm leaves on antenna pieces, and there's palm trees growing around the entire border. And that would probably be a nice pop of color as well. So I'll for sure do something like that. And then you could even do stuff on top of the aviary, mountain behind it, all that. But I actually like my decision of placing it, because now what I can do is, for example, if I'm wanting to work on this section of the Mills plate, all I have to do is just grab that one section and bring it up. I don't need the entire zoo up there taking up two massive desks while I'm working on a certain section. So I'm actually glad that I placed it, because now I can say, okay, I'm going to work on the elephant enclosure and just grab the base plate with the elephant enclosure, bring it up there, and start working on it. I started detailing my first habitat here. It's going to be the one with the giraffes and also the ostrich. Just made like this little watering hole. Use some of the curved slopes, a wedge plate, some dark azure plate, some of the trans light blue tiles. There's some vegetation in there. I think that's a pretty small watering hole, but every time I go to the zoo, I notice that the giraffes don't have like a huge watering hole compared to like maybe the elephants or other animals. I don't know if that's just my zoo. It's definitely not my zoo, because my zoo doesn't have giraffes, but the Calgary Zoo, I noticed that. But yeah, I just got a text message from Jose, and that text message says, you gotta come home. So we are gonna go home. But hey, I think that looks pretty good. It's getting there. I'm excited to break up the gray color. Ooh, it's pretty gray. I placed it in the city, I'm like, doesn't look that good. But I know that the color of it will definitely be changing, and the old zoo is just like that too, right? The base foundation of everything is always gray for me, because that's common parts, gray. It's commonly what I like to use. And then from there you use your tans and your greens and your dark greens and your azures and your blue and all that. And then you start adding your vegetation, which will increase the height of it and build up the wall so it's higher so the animals can't escape, and put the background on, right? So it's just all part of the process of building. It's wild how much like time it takes to build things like this. But I guess like my videos are a little bit different, because you see what I do in a day. Whereas, you know, somebody might make a zoo video and they present to you what they did in a week, whereas I'm showing you what I did in a day. Whereas if I presented to you what I did in a week on the zoo, it'd be done. If I worked for 7 days, this is day number 3. So if I worked for 7 days on it, it would probably be done because, well, maybe not done, but I don't know. You know what I mean, right? I just like being the vlog guy and just sort of walking you through the process of what I do on the daily basis. But I guess I don't really show you like what I do all day, every day. It's not like I vlog the rest of my life. I don't vlog me going home and editing this video after I put the kids to sleep and clean up their dishes and change their bums and all that. I'm pretty sure you don't want to see that, right? I don't think so. I know I wouldn't want to see that, even though I see it all too often. All part of the process of raising tiny humans, right? Oh, make sure I got all my stuff and let's get out of here. I'm not sure. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm not sure if I'll be back or not. Sunday, I don't know. It just really depends on if we have coverage at the home, right? That depends. But if I come back here on Sunday, it doesn't look cool with the lights off. But if I come back here tomorrow, I'm going to probably continue working on the zoo. Or build a medieval table. I really should just get that over with. Look what we got going on here. Some nice tortellini. That's a big old pot of tortellini, hey? Plus the sauce. Some mushrooms, bell peppers, sausage. Oh yeah, that's gonna make a nice tomato sauce. What do we got here? I just finished teaching myself a new way to cut bell peppers by this guy right here, sort of famous, you might know him, Gordon Ramsay. Look at that, no seeds. No seeds. That was just legendary, definitely worth the watch. Gonna make myself one of these. Oh no, Tico. This is a half caffeinated coffee. Perfect for the afternoon or evening. Look at this special ingredient for the sauce. That's cream cheese right there. What can I say, everybody? I taught Jose everything I know. It's my idea, I tell ya. Cream cheese and tomato sauce. Marinara. It's gonna be a delicious treat. Would you just look at it? Look at that. Oh, that's so good. Look what Jose got me for Father's Day. A candy salad. Oh my gosh, I've been working on that. It wasn't full to begin with, but I've been working on it ever since Father's Day. Oh, so good. So good, yet so bad. So after putting the kids to sleep, I ate that delicious meal there. That was amazing. Did some editing and stuff like that. Cleaned up. And now my night is like coming to a close already. It's 8:05. Where does the time go? You know, it's different having the Lego offsite here, like the Legos at the studio. Whereas in the good old day, I would have it in the basement. So what I could do is zip down to the basement right now, for example, and build for another couple hours till 10 or till maybe just an hour until 9 or whatever it may be. So I'd be able to like rattle off, you know, a couple enclosures probably, get the details done after the kids go to sleep. But because the Legos at the studio, I'm not really willing to drive back all the way over there just to get a couple more things done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really willing to do that. So that's one of the downfalls of having the Lego over there and not in your basement. And I knew that would be, you know, I knew that would be a drawback of having the studio, is that you can't access your Lego. If you want to start building it in the middle of the night or you can't sleep or something, you can't start building something custom. Of course, you can build the set. You can build the set anywhere, but I can't just start, or I can't continue on the day's project tonight. Or sometimes I'd watch TV until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and I'd be like, I'm bored, I'm restless, I'm gonna go start the next day's video, and I'd continue working on the zoo. And I just don't have that option right now. Which is fine. I knew I was getting into it, but it sort of is what it is, right? Just something that I need to learn how to navigate as well. But yeah, genuinely was up at 7 and now it's 8 and that's the day. I fixed up the zoo, broke the rectangle, broke the hashtag and placed it. Went to the Lego store, got some good pieces. and tomorrow's another day. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Farewell.